Sit back, relax and enjoy listening. The morning sunlight barely filtered through the curtains of SV's office. The room was buzzing with tension, much like its occupant. SV was engrossed in a heated call, her voice sharp and commanding. "How many times do I have to repeat myself?" she barked into the phone, pacing back and forth. Her tone left no room for argument. "If the reports aren't finalized by the end of the day, don't bother showing up tomorrow. Is that clear?" The voice on the other end barely had a chance to respond before SV continued, flipping through a stack of papers on her desk. She had filled her day with back-to-back meetings, calls, and unplanned project reviews. Anything to keep her mind occupied. Anything to prevent the thoughts from creeping in. Her schedule was a fortress she had built to shield herself from emotions she refused to confront. Not now, not ever. She gritted her teeth and tightened her grip on the phone. RK entered the office, slowing his steps as SV's sharp voice reached his ears. From the hallway, he could hear her pacing in her office, her commanding tone cutting through the air. Peeking through the glass wall of her office, he observed that she hadn't stopped for a moment, not even to sit down. She was pacing furiously, one hand on her hip while the other gripped the phone, as if it was the only thing tethering her to reality. He frowned, noticing how her movements were unusually rigid and her posture tense. Even from this distance, he could see the faint shadows under her eyes and the stiffness in her demeanor. But he didn't move closer. He leaned back slightly, careful not to let her see him through the glass. His concern for her was outweighed by the knowledge that his presence could make things worse. "She's been like this all morning," a familiar voice said from behind him. RK turned to see SV's manager approaching with a resigned look on his face. They both stepped aside to avoid catching SV's attention. "She hasn't stopped," the manager added, his tone heavy with concern. "Meeting after meeting, call after call. It's like she's running on pure adrenaline." RK's eyes flicked back to SV. "How long has she been at it?" "Since the day before yesterday," the manager replied. "And before you ask, no, she hasn't eaten. Not a single bite." RK's jaw tightened. 2 days? She's been pushing herself like this for 2 days straight. The manager nodded, lowering his voice. "She refuses to slow down. I don't know exactly what she wants to do, but trust me, whatever that is, it's not working. She's just getting angrier by the hour." As if on cue, SV's voice rang out from her office, sharp and cutting. "That's not what I asked for," she snapped. "I gave you explicit instructions, and you still managed to mess it up. I don't want excuses, I want results." She paced to the window, her reflection briefly catching RK's gaze. But she didn't see him. Her attention was entirely on the call. "She's not going to stop until she collapses," RK muttered, his concern growing with every passing second. "Can't you send food to her office? Maybe she'll eat if it's already there." The manager sighed, shaking his head. "I tried that yesterday. She sent it back untouched. And she gave clear orders that she doesn't want to see any food in her office. If we try to push anything, she refuses, and the consequences would be unimaginable." RK exhaled sharply, leaning against the wall. "She's going to drive herself into the ground. Someone has to stop her." The manager hesitated, then placed a hand on RK's shoulder. "I know you want to help, but you have to be careful. She's not in the right frame of mind right now. If you step in without a plan, it could backfire." RK stared at SV through the glass, his mind racing. Her voice had softened slightly, but the frustration was still evident as she continued the call. "She's still on that call," RK observed. "It's been over 15 minutes, and she hasn't put the phone down. She's like that with everything today," the manager said. "Relentless. It's like she's trying to prove something, to herself maybe. I don't know." RK shook his head, his worry deepening. "She's not proving anything. She's punishing herself." He straightened, determination settling in his features. "If she won't eat, then we need to find another way. She can't keep going like this." The manager nodded, though his expression remained cautious. "Just be careful, RK. You know how she is." RK's gaze hardened as he watched SV, still engrossed in her call. "I know, but that doesn't mean I'll stand by and do nothing."